No clocks ticked in St. Elora's hospital. Not anymore. Time itself had long decayed there, like the peeling paint on the walls or the brittle surgical gloves that still clung to skeletal hands in forgotten operating rooms. The hospital did not exist on any map, nor could anyone explain where it stood. Some said it floated on a sea of ash. Others swore it appeared only in dreams. If the dreams were infected, dying slowly in the back of your mind. Isaac didn't remember arriving. That's what unsettled him the most. One moment, he was in his car, windshield wipers slapping away at the storm, the night so thick it felt like it might choke him. And then, he blinked, he was inside. The air was cold, unnaturally still, heavy with antiseptic and rust. Shadows clung to the ceiling like mold. Fluorescent lights buzzed above but cast no warmth that he stood in what appeared to be the hospital's main lobby, though it resembled more of a mausoleum. Everything was frozen in time. The furniture untouched. The front desk clean, but covered in dust an inch thick that a leather-bound ledger sat open at the desk. Yellowed pages curled like old parchment. He stepped closer, drawn by some unnatural instinct, and saw the names. They weren't typed. They weren't written with ink. They were bled onto the page, fresh. His eyes locked onto the latest entry. Isaac Grant, room 117, status, pending. His stomach turned, he backed away, heart thudding. That's when the intercom crackled. All patients must report to their assigned rooms. Medication rounds begin in 20 minutes. Refusal will result in adjustment. The voice was soft, sweet, too pleasant, like it had been peeled from an old recording meant for a children's ward. Then came the scream. Far off, raw and human.it. Didn't echo like it should have. It was swallowed, as if the walls fed on it. Isaac ran, the hallways twisted. They were long but narrow, ceiling lights blinking in a mechanical rhythm that made him feel watched. Blink, blink, buzz, blink, blink, buzz. Stretchers littered the corridors. Some still held things, bodies with tubes in their throats. Eyes sewn shut, or entirely absent. One turned its head as he passed. A mouth, stitched tight with wire, strained as if it wanted to scream that a rusted elevator door sat at the end of the hallway. He pressed the button, and against all reason, it lit up. Ding! The door slid open with a moan. A nurse stood inside. White uniform. Black shoes. Red Cross cap, perfectly centered. Her face was wrong. Porcelain smooth skin. Lips too red. Eyes that didn't blink. And when she smiled, her teeth were triangular, like a predator. You're late for your evaluation, Mr. Grant, she said. He didn't move. Come now. Don't keep the doctor waiting. He stepped back, but her hand, long, cold, with too many joints, snapped out and gripped his wrist. We have to monitor your progress, she whispered. The doors closed. Darkness swallowed him. When the light returned, he was strapped to a surgical table. Steel surrounded him. Surgical lights flickered. Overhead, he could hear something dripping, steadily, rhythmically. The doctor entered. The IT wore a lab coat, clean and white. But its head was wrapped entirely in gauze, like a burn victim. A surgeon's mask pulsed slightly over where its mouth should have been, breathing, or pretending to. Its hands were gloved. The gloves were wet, vitals stable. It rasped. Subject conscious. Commencing incision. A scalpel floated up from a metal tray on its own. As it descended toward Isaac's chest, the lights blinked. Once. Twice. Then cut out, screaming. Bone cracking. Not his. Not yet. When light returned, the doctor was gone. So was the nurse. The straps on his limbs had been sliced. Next to him, lying still on the adjacent table, was a body. His body. Perfectly identical. Its eyes opened. Isaac tore free from the table and sprinted. He didn't know where he was going. Only that something inside him had just left, and something else had taken its place. The corridors bled now. Walls weeping black fluid that smelled of ammonia and rot. The lights didn't flicker anymore. They pulsed, like a heartbeat. Every hallway had turned into a loop. Left became right. Up became down. Somewhere, he could hear the nurse singing, humming a lullaby that made his bones ache. That a door slammed shut behind him. Another opened on its own. Inside were mirrors. Hundreds. Floor to ceiling, and in every one of them. Isaac moved wrong. They smiled when he didn't. They blinked when his eyes were wide. That he began to scream. The mirrors shattered. All of them. The room went dark. When the lights returned, he stood before a single door. It was white, no handle. No hinges, just there. He reached out. It opened. Inside, blackness, pure and alive, and at the center of that void, a heart, suspended, beating, the size of a car engine. It throbbed in sync with his own, and every pulse made him weaker. This is the hospital's heart. The voice returned, not from outside but inside his head. Feed it, or be consumed. He turned to run, but the door behind him had vanished. Room 117 had become him. Isaac stumbled backward. His hands dripped with something warm. He looked down. Scalpel. Blood. Not his. The hospital was no longer a place. It was inside him, wrapped around his lungs, buried in his mind. The walls of room 117 were covered in photographs now, all of them showing him, dressed in white, pushing gurneys, smiling too widely. The intercom returned. New patient arriving. Please prepare the ward. In the lobby, a new figure stood, Julia Mathis. Soaked from rain. Confused, the ledger turned. Its own page. Julia Mathis. Room 118. Status. Pending. And down the hallway, Isaac stood quietly, dressed in a white coat, smiling, pushing a stretcher, waiting for the next name.